Okay, I'm going to let our guests respond to that, as Peter Tabor's been waiting to get in a few words here.
Well, so many ideas have run by here. I always tend to reject the NIMBY argument because it's really divisive. It suggests that people are merely being selfish and looking out for themselves. So let me put forth in this case that this affects a lot more than Searsport, and we've already heard from some callers who are concerned about the wider scale of it. Let me suggest another way of looking at this, and that is need. We may ask a community to make sacrifices if they willingly want to, but the fact is there is no need for this tank. As I said before, this is a totally bogus rationale that they're putting this tank in. They want to take over a market. It seems to be very clear. But as far as importing propane, I just want to read something real quick, a very short statement, and it comes from the National Petroleum Council, which is a quasi-government agency that represents the oil and gas industry. This is a working paper that came out just 3-4 months ago, back in September. And they note that a couple of interesting factors. One is that natural gas production in the United States, and they use the word increased tremendous growth, and they speak of it as it being significant in producing propane production growth as well. And they talk about how new technologies of fracking and horizontal bore drilling have produced a revolution. This country is awash in shale basin produced fracked gas, and rather than perhaps use it as a transition fuel, this great bounty that we've come upon, it really is. It's been like 40% sudden increase, and some people say 30-year production. Why don't we keep it at home? But the fact is, big corporations are machines meant to make profit. That's their obligation, the obligation of their shareholders. And so it makes them a little bit sociopathic when they deal with real human beings. They'll tell people anything they want, they think they want to hear. So they'll say, as they have in Searsport, oh, we're going to give you a $70,000 job even though you've only got a GED. They've actually said this. They said, oh, you can have it right here in Searsport, when in fact the local issue, which they don't want to answer because they would be shown to be liars, is that in fact they have to offer these jobs to a lot more people than the population of Searsport. The fact is we should not be exporting propane, but the people, the ConocoPhillips and the other Duke Energy through its gas subsidiary, who are behind DCP Midstream. Midstream's just it's basically a shell corporation, a front limited liability corporation to reduce risk to the big owners. They basically are interested in making a profit, and if they can sell this stuff anywhere on the world market, then they'll do it. We have no guarantee that they aren't going to use Searsport as essentially a export right out of this country. And in fact, if you look at the National Petroleum Council working paper, they say the propane export market should be robust. So that you always have to keep in mind. What is the greater good? Is it the profit of corporations headquartered in Denver and in Houston, or does it have to do with a real human scale? And I'd like to talk more about scale, but okay. I don't want to dominate this microphone.
We're going to let Bud comment, and then we're going to take a break. I do want to just say that in checking with DCP Midstream about what percentage of this would actually be sold in Maine, the response from their public relations person, Roz Elliott, was Weather and circumstances play a large part in product distribution. It's not possible to say exactly how much volume would be sold in Maine versus surrounding states. However, suffice to say, a substantial portion of the volume imported into Searsport would be sold in Maine. Bud, you've got about 2 minutes before we take a break. If you want to make a quick comment, we're going to take a break at the top of the hour, and we'll be back after that to continue with this discussion of the proposed LPG facility in Searsport.
I'm going to make a comment that seems kind of off the wall, but
Yeah, get a little closer to the microphone.
I'm going to make a comment that may seem a little off the wall, but I support the reduction in the consumption of fossil fuels. I always have. I spent 43 years in the nuclear industry, largely because it is, at the time, or last time I was working there, was the cheapest electrical generation in the country, and it emits no greenhouse gases.
All right. And with that, we'll go ahead and take some top-of-the-hour breaks here. You're listening to WERU-FM 89.9 Blue Hill, 99.9 Bangor, and streaming online at weru.org.